Welcome to the past, where you'll get information related to sports, video games, technology, music, and our all-time favorite ass of the week. Episode 196 of The Past is here. What's good, y'all? This host BT, man. Haven't done a show since last week, obviously. But I wanted to go ahead and catch up since a lot has happened in the sports world, as well as there will be a few things and stuff that we'll get into later on. And of course, as usual, our ass of the week being asses of the week in rare form. So I'm not going to really hit y'all too strong with too much today. But I do have a lot to share, so I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. As I always share each episode, we like to go ahead and get our spiritual or our angel number in tune. So episode 196 means we'll be doing the angel number 196. All right. Your angel number 196 is encouraging you to put to practice the thoughts and ideas you have been harboring for long. You need to stop procrastinating and start living your dreams. Your angel numbers say that the ideas you have are doable. You only need to believe in yourself and start working to accomplish them. This will contribute to the changes your angels are talking about. You will change the way you think and your general outlook in life. The angel number 196 is being used by the angels to teach you things they think you should know. They are using this number because it relates to your life. Number 1 represents qualities in you that the angels are pleased to see in you. They see your energy, your intuition, your courage, and your ambition. They are happy with the new beginnings that you are about to encounter. Do not be afraid of the unknown because the angels are going to be with you the entire time. Number 9 is the angelic number used to indicate the end of some of the situations in your life. Some of these situations need to end so that you can find yourself. They need to end so that you can find the strength buried deep inside you. You need to get closure on some areas for you to grow into what your destiny needs you to be. Seek to grow in the qualities that nourish your soul. Number 6 comes with the value attached to love, family, and your home as your sacred haven. Your responsibility is to ensure that your family has comfort and is well catered for. Angel number 196 asks you to be compassionate, even to people who are not within your family. Seek to inspire everyone in your life touches. Seek to inspire everyone your life touches. All right. It's ironic because I talked about this off podcast before even read, because I think I tell y'all this, and I always try to be honest about this. These angel numbers, I love doing them because they are inspirational, and it also gives a bit of an overview or a way of kind of seeing and living life accordingly. Now we'll address something and be honest with a lot of my listeners as well as myself. Sometimes we discourage ourselves from doing something just to feel or become discouraged. And it's not something that is as simple as a light switch, like, hey, you can turn it on, you can fix it at any point. It's a mind over matter type of deal. And here's what I mean when I say that. With the podcast, there have been a couple of times or a couple moments where giving up just seemed easier. It practically was second nature. But I also know in doing so, I'm letting the listeners down as well as letting myself down. So I never at any point put that position or put myself in the mind state or that position of thinking, all right, let me go ahead and just drop the podcast and not do this anymore. Because sometimes it's bigger than you, and you never know who may or may not be able to get what's going on in the sports world or in the tech world in one sitting. So getting that time or that moment of like naturally wanting to give up or naturally wanting to quit it's going to happen, but you have to know how to like push through. The worst point of quitting is at the beginning. The easiest point of quitting is at the beginning. And the reason why is because as long as you quit and not doing it, then you already can say, hey, I have no reason to worry about becoming a failure. We love success, but we fear failure. Failure, and this is way off topic from what the angel number even has to do with, but failure is the fear of failure is similar to me with the fear of rejection. Those are two fears that are very challenging and very tough to endure, but they're key to what, you got. They're parts of life, and you have to know how to literally like pick up and move forward. I'm doing and I'll share this early. This is not going to go into stuff because 9 times out of 10 I may or may not remember. But I'm doing a challenge called the 10-day writing challenge, where each day you're given a writing topic to challenge your creativity or challenge your talent or skill in getting what you're trying to get achieved or accomplished. And if anyone is interested in doing that, I can definitely send you the link on getting it started. Granted, today is day 1, but getting into it, and if you need help with getting set up, I'll do whatever I can to help you. Just hit me up, passpodcastbt@gmail.com. Hitting the sports news, as always, we start off with our World Cup madness, and I'm glad that I did the show today. I almost thought when I saw 2:00, I was thinking, oh shoot, the episode is going to be today. The episode will be recorded today, and the finals or the semifinals of the World Cup would be today as well. But luckily they'll be tomorrow. So to give everyone, I guess you can say, the backstory, we are definitely pushing forward, and I always like to make sure that I get my visual in place to tell you all that this has been a huge World Cup to say without saying. Our 4 teams that are remaining in the World Cup are France, Belgium, Croatia, and England. The big shocker that everyone is kind of surprised and overwhelmed by is that Brazil was knocked off. Brazil actually did end up getting beat by Belgium this weekend. Uruguay had no chance really with France. Russia and Croatia, if I remember correctly, because I didn't update my score sheet at the moment, their game did go to penalties. And let me just be sure, because I'm always like to be ahead of y'all, but also like not miss the mark on sharing the information regarding the matchups. So all right, I got it back. Yeah, so Russia and Croatia went to penalties. It was initially 2-2, and based on penalties, I believe Croatia scored 4 of their penalties while Russia only scored 3. So that put Croatia through to the semis. Sweden and England, it was pretty much no shot. I hate to say it that abruptly, but it was. England was playing good from the gate. England. What's ironic about the England games is that England could have scored more goals. And the backstory behind this is that there was actually a bet or a process in place between Zlatan Ibrahimovic and David Beckham, and the winner, I don't have the actual image directly in front of me, but there was a bet between those two, and Beckham was the winner of that bet. Uruguay, I don't know what happened. Like, I hate to say it that clean or that direct, but that game was all France from start to finish. Belgium was ahead 2-0 early, and Augusto made a late goal, but they really couldn't get another goal afterward within that match. So that puts us now with France, Belgium, Croatia, and England. England is excited because they're looking to bring the trophy back home. I'm going to be the wild child because I guess I'm different. I want England to win, of course, but my team or who I've been kind of like my cheer or my chances of who I was looking to see win was between the Belgium and Brazil match. I was really going like strongly sided with Belgium, so it was good that Belgium won. But if Brazil had won, I would have been just fine. So Brazil is my pick, who I'm thinking will win the World Cup. Whether that actually happens, I don't know. They did a recent, as they call it, a power rankings of all 4 teams. They had England 4th, but as we all know, we have to see what happens. The semifinal matchups will be tomorrow on the 10th here in the U.S., but it'll be on the 11th. It'll actually be the 11th in Russia, and that'll be France playing Belgium at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as Croatia playing England at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So both of those matches, you kind of going to be in that flip back and forth type of scenario. I may not be available to do so for personal reasons, which is life. So you got to let it be what it is. Jumping into basketball. So I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to be very fair. And I've noticed it, and I'm just bringing attention to the table, or I'm bringing truth to attention, or attention to truth, whatever. I have talked very badly about the JBA League. I don't want to talk bad about the JBA League. So what I will be doing is, if I do get stories or highlights or information, I will share it on the podcast. This week, I don't have anything related to the site or to the page or to the games that have been going on. It's almost, you don't want to use it. Your mama told you, if you ain't got a nice say, don't say nothing at all. It's just, I haven't really got enough content or really kept up with it yet. Now, if it gets to the end, when it gets to like playoffs runs, then I'll talk about it and give it a little bit more attention. But right now, I'm gonna just sit back and relax on JBA League talk. So we do have the Big Three League in continuance. I will admit Trilogy is on the ropes. Trilogy is down 0-3. They have not won a game in this so far. And it's looking bad for the defending champions of the Big Three. Rashad McCants did not play last game. Three's company, Baron Davis took over as usual. It was a very strong matchup with them. The Ball Hogs were able to get their first victory against Ghost Ballers. Both teams were 0-2 going into that match. Ball Hogs were victorious. Tri-State and Power played. Those were the 2 unbeatens. And Tri-State won by 4. It was a good matchup because you were able to see Nate Robinson and Coutinho Mobley go at it. And it was, vintage basketball by far. And the Killer Threes, who were, I believe they were 1-1 going into this matchup, played the Three-Headed Monsters. And the Three-Headed Monsters are also still undefeated. So we have it's been a good run of old school basketball, to put it simply. Right now you're left with 2 teams that are undefeated, and that is the Three-Headed Monsters and Tri-State. Then you have 2-1, both Power and Three's Company. The Ball Hogs are 1-2, as well as the Killer Threes, and Trilogy and Ghost Ballers have yet to get their first win. Next week, or this coming Friday, we have Trilogy going against Killer 3. Ball Hogs will be playing against Three's Company. Three-Headed Monsters will be going against Tri-State, so that'll be another battle of the unbeatens. And Ghost will be playing against Power. I feel like that'll probably be the quicker matchup of the 4. And that game will be played in Detroit, or those games will be played in Detroit. So if you're keeping up with the Big Three League, definitely check them out. They do have an app as well if you want to check out the scores and stats on the fly. We jumped over to the NBA. And before I get into before I get into free agency, because that'll be a good little chunk of talk, or a good bit of conversation to talk about. I'm going to talk about Summer League first. We got to see a couple of guys exhibit some basketball play, which I'm all for it. Anyone who knows me knows I love watching basketball, period. We were able to see Jaren Jackson Jr., who is the son of former NBA Jaren Jackson, who played for the Spurs. He started off pretty strong. He's been playing pretty good basketball in the Summer League. He hit a downward spike in one game. Now, something you have to keep in mind with Summer League games can vary game by game. Because a lot of times keep in mind, these are rookies. These are lottery picks that this is their first time really playing or getting NBA action. And you're playing against some of these guys who play in Summer League have been in the G League. They've played overseas. They're trying to get a spot in the NBA. They're all, playing for the same cause. Jonathan Isaac, he played pretty good. I want to say Jaren Jackson. It's another Jackson. He's playing for the Kings. He's been playing pretty good basketball. We'll make sure I get everyone. Malik Monk did have an injury. That'll have him out sideline for a couple weeks. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. We did get to see the big men or the 1 and 2 matchup each year. They always do this, where you will have your number 1 draftee go against your number 2. And DeAndre Ayton got the best of it, point wise and win wise. So Marvin Bagley will be out next game. Trying to see this. Let me look at what else we had. Who else played? We got a little taste of Colin Sexton. Got to see his game. He looks like he'll get into the game and fit in just fine. Trayvon Duvall played for the Rockets. He played his first game. He played pretty good. His second game, he was kind of a no-show. We began to see the pieces come together for the Lakers. Also got a glimpse of Wendell or Carter Williams Jr. with the I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but he's with Wendell Carter Jr. with the Bulls, who was at Duke. Duke had a bit of a challenging draft class because a lot of guys did come out that were, they were prepared and they were already NBA bound anyway. So they were, statistically, they didn't stand out at Duke. And when they're so far in the league, Summer League is a very tough measurement because you're playing against other basketball players. You're not playing against the top basketball players. And I only say you're not playing against the top because you're not in the league with LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. And I'll go a step further. We don't think about it, or we really don't hear about it. If you look at those guys now that are stars, if you go back and look at their performances in the Summer League, you'll be surprised. Statistically, some of them held their own, but in most cases, they were trying to be the man or be the guy and just kind of they were trying to be the guy while still trying to get their feet wet and still learn the game of basketball. Because I say this a lot from playing basketball, watching basketball, and just knowing basketball as a whole. When you are athletic, you look at it as, if I'm athletic, I can get through. Yeah, you can get through, but there's conditioning, there's proper eating, there's little fundamental things that you're not going to really get from just naturally being athletic. Like if you don't know how to stop, and I mean, we hear the term stop on the dime, but if you can't stop at a certain, be able to move your feet and stop at a certain point and turn and twist, you're not going to last. Like the NBA is going to literally, you'll have a short career. Like there's a guy who's in the Summer League, I think his name is Quintel Woods. Quintel Woods can play ball. Like, you watch him now, it's like, dude can play ball. NBA career was not very long. A lot of people don't even, like, there are a lot of guys who were in the big three that did not play very long in the NBA, but they had an NBA career. So it's just those things that you have to look at and understand. See if I missed anybody. Kevin Knox looks pretty. I mean, I think everyone sees that he's pretty ready. He was NBA ready last year, but of course, by there being a one and done rule, you have to kind of go along with the process of how it works. His last game they played against the Jazz, he scored 19. He scored 19 points, had 5 boards and 2 assists. So the guy can play. I mean, there's no question about that. Mitchell Robinson, who they also picked up, who they picked up in the draft, he had a pretty solid stat line. He had 12 points, 11 boards. They're looking forward to what they're going to get with him, because he was that dark horse in the draft or let alone in college, because he didn't go to a school and there was uncertainty of what would happen to his draft stock. Obviously, he got picked. So now it's a matter of him having his game transfer over to the NBA is going to be important. Wow, fun fact, did not know Juwan Howard Jr. was in the Summer League. Now I need to do some research, because that's a new one. Didn't even know. I mean, I knew he had, I'm not surprised he has a son, but I'm just didn't really put 2 and 2 together. So he's 26 years old. This is 2%. Y'all know I'm always looking up weird stuff. All right, don't mind me. Yeah, so he looks like he made a story before as far as trying to get onto a team. So he's 6'6", went to University of Detroit Mercy. He's 26. He's on the Knicks Summer League team, looking to see if he can get a spot. So we'll give him give him a chance, see what happens. Hopefully he does work. Look forward to, if he makes it on the Knicks lineup. So that's all. Summer League is kind of Summer League. Like, Summer League is very hard to measure. And I say that very emphatically because, like I said, you're playing against competition, but competition is kind of like, I won't say mediocre, but it's not really. A lot of guys are playing. A lot of guys are playing to keep themselves in shape. A lot of guys are playing to solidify their spot on an NBA roster. If it's not the team that they're playing for during the Summer League, it's to get onto another team. So that's what that all plays into. I have a list of all of the free agency, all of the players who are free agents. Now, a lot of these names, first and foremost, I'm not going to sit here and go through every single name. Second of all, I do want to confirm, yesterday was the official day for players signing their free agent contracts, or those who verbally committed. So, for instance, LeBron did commit to LA. So that means that LeBron would have signed his contract yesterday if he's not doing it today. Trying to see if there's anyone that I can think of. Chris Paul was a big story because he officially signed his 4-year, $160 million contract. There was an article, and I'm kind of upset because I found it, but I didn't really chew it apart, because they were giving insight as to what the benefit was of the Rockets signing him. And I take that back. I did read the article. It was mainly giving information and stats on how what you're getting, I guess, is when it comes to a player being not being drafted, but being signed to a new deal, you're signing what comes with that player. Now, Chris Paul hasn't really been an all-star point guard for a while, but the flip side of it is he's been in the conversation of being a top-notch point guard strictly because the tough part of the West, the West has a lot of point guards. Whether you really look at it or whether you really want to acknowledge it or not, there are a lot of point guards who play in the West Coast. On the Eastern Conference, yeah, it's the same too, but it's not weighed as heavy as it is on the West. There's still, like I said, there are a couple players who are still kind of waiting to figure out where they're going to go. Clint Capella is still kind of getting things in state shape for him. Wilson Chandler did opt into his contract. Nick Collison decided to retire, which is no surprise. Jamal Crawford is kind of looking around to see where he's going to go. Seth Curry ended up signing with the Blazers. Ed Davis is going to the Nets. I believe he was part of a trade, but he did go to the Nets. Durant signed a new deal, as we have talked about before. I'm not going to really hit too many of these. There are a lot of players that are still waiting, and we're just kind of waiting to see what the final word is on most of them. We'll go ahead and talk about the behemoth monster conversation. Now, the tab I have related to that story states that when he had the conversation with the Warriors, that made his decision to join that much simpler. There was talk, or there was a statement of saying that he was given a much larger offer. Great. He was given a much larger offer from other teams, but he did decline because he wanted to join the Warriors. This is going to be annoying. All right. Don't fall. I know y'all probably like, what is he doing? This is a very, and I don't want to overdose the word interesting. This is a very special conversation because everyone is looking at this when this story broke. The first thing everybody went to, and the first statement that came to mind was, "Oh goodness, the Warriors have added another piece. Like they need another piece. They're automatically going to win the championship." Something that's ignored, and some media moguls, some media personalities have said this. I'm going to say it because it's something that needs to be looked at. He's still not 100% healthy, and they may have recently, but when the story initially broke, there was no timeline given as to when he would be back playing basketball. So those two tangibles alone, or those two pieces, have to be taken into account with looking at this situation. That being said, we really aren't looking at the big picture here. And as a sports fan and as a basketball fan and watching teams that have done this before, if you go back to, I think it was 2000, 2001, the Portland Trail Blazers put together a team that was pretty much supposed to beat the Lakers, but they beat themselves. I don't think this is going to be an ironic situation, but it's key to add to this. The Blazers had Arvydas Sabonis, Rasheed Wallace, Pippen with still with father time on his heels, Steve Smith, and Damon Stoudemire. This team was the team next to the Kings team that was supposed to knock LA off. The Sacramento team at that time, I think it was Vlade Divac, Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, Doug Christie, and Mike Bibby. Now the two teams that I just listed for the Blazers and the Kings, both phenomenal teams. Couldn't get over the hump. And they had, on paper, that's the point I'm making with we're mentioning those teams. On paper, those teams are badass. But if you're looking at the time in the NBA, you had what was considered the number one and the number two players in the NBA, who, by the way, I don't believe either of them won the won the MVP the years of those championship runs. And this is going to be a brief segue, but I'm gonna say this, and I think I talked about it before. In sports, you could have the same people winning the award every year. And that's just plain and simple. In basketball, LeBron can win the MVP every year. If you really narrow it down to stats, play, durability, etc. It's all a media ploy, it's all a attention grab, and it's all in what suits the game. Do I think the Warriors are a strong contender for the finals? I mean, for the championship? Yes. Am I going ahead? Am I guilty enough or willing enough to give them the championship or the trophy right now? No. And I'm going to tell you why. Chemistry. We don't know how Cousins will fit the chemistry of the Warriors culture. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, if they were able to have Draymond Green and Kevin Durant and they were all able to put their emotions aside, what makes DeMarcus Cousins different? Check the resume. If you go back and look at DeMarcus Cousins with the Kings, if you look at DeMarcus Cousins with the Pelicans for the year and a half they had him, you have to know what you're getting. And if you don't look at that or don't acknowledge that, it's going to be hard to. It's a hard thing to overlook. That much I'll come clean and say. There was a story that came to light where we're gonna see LeBron, which I'm not surprised by. And this may put a little bit of light on that alleged Game 4 LeBron's hand was hurting because he punched chalkboard or whatever, or whiteboard. LeBron is gonna start to go into the Kobe Bryant and the Michael Jordan bag when you're at the end of your career or when you're getting to those last couple years. Same thing, I know, but hear me out. When Jordan got up there in his age, Jordan wasn't able to run up and down the floor and handle the ball and come off screens, and no. Jordan got right on that block and muscled his way to as many baskets as he could, and is able to keep his stat line in a stable position to still average a pretty substantial amount of points per game or per season or whatever. Kobe didn't shoot as many threes near the end of his career. His last game when they played the Jazz, he got the green light. We already knew that because it was, Mamba out, all that stuff. When you looked at the last couple of games for LeBron was doing a lot of driving because he's not going to be able to rely on his shooting but so much. And as far as him going to the paint, he can score at any point, at any time, any willing point of the game. He's going to become more of in his case, he's going to be playing his role, which is a 3 or 4. I mean, we've known him to be the point guard most of the time anyway, but he's going to really be like a forward as far as on the block. I doubt that they'll have him playing against big men, but who knows? I mean, we know the NBA is always doing something weird and catching you off guard. You know what? You're not going to let me be great, are you? So what I feel like he's going to get into that role, and you'll see him get into what I would define as the big man bag, which means he's gonna still be LeBron and get his points, but we're gonna see him do more on in the paint, which, I mean, that'll just generate the more free throws and him climbing slowly up the ladder as far as getting points and trying to, cement his quote unquote legacy. Speaking of legacies and someone who's really working to build one, Devin Booker was able to lock into a pretty sick contract. He extended his contract with the Suns for 5 years, $158 million. Now his contract won't end. His rookie contract ends at the end of this upcoming season. Because he was drafted in 2015. By default, you always sign a 3-year. Usually rookie contracts are usually 3 years long. So he was drafted 13th he was the 13th pick in the 2015 draft. He set a franchise record by scoring 70 points. He did give a comment and saying, "I'm humbled and honored to commit to the Suns organization long term. He loved calling Phoenix home the last 3 seasons, as this team and community is special to him. He thanked the Suns for drafting him and believing in him. He's looking forward to the future and pursuing a title as a Sun." His agent met with Robert Sarver, who is the Suns owner, as well as the GM Ryan McDonough and VP of Operations James Jones. The contract does take effect in 2019-2020. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be after this upcoming year. So I take that. So that means his contract was 15, 16, 17, 18. So yeah, he had a 4-year contract as far as his rookie contract. He opted in. That would have meant he opted into his 4th year and then he extended his contract. He's already reached 4,000 career points in just in his first 3 years in the league. LeBron and Kevin Durant were the youngest to do that achievement. His career has been great. Phoenix's career has been a nightmare. What's tough about Phoenix right now is Josh Jackson has to show up. I'm calling it out right now. Josh Jackson, going into last year's draft class, was considered one of the top draft picks. Like, he was supposed to be number 1 hands down. When he ended up going to the draft, I think he was still in the top 5 from being chosen. His rookie year was not the best rookie year. You do have DeAndre Ayton. They also have Mikal Bridges, who are joining Phoenix. So it gives Phoenix a little bit of a shining light. I'm looking forward to seeing what DeAndre Ayton does his rookie year. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him by nature because he is a big man, but I feel like he's going to do what he does. So we'll keep as always, we'll keep an eye on Phoenix, as I always talk about with the NBA. But Phoenix is in that very intriguing spot or place of basketball. All right. Strange stuff, but stuff. The first story that I'm going to talk about, if any of you may or may not be aware, now I will tell you, first and foremost, there's a lot of stuff that hit over the last couple of days. So I wanted to give it all the attention that I can, but I'm not going to bombard everyone with a whole bunch of stuff because it all happened so fast within the past couple of days. So every year there's an event held in Coney Island called the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Now, I'm going to be honest. This happens every year on the 4th of July. It's usually like at about 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the goal is simple. They put a whole stack of hot dogs in front of you, and you try to eat as many as you can let me make sure I give the correct time, because it's usually like so many minutes. Let me make sure. Because I'm with it, but I don't know. Okay, 10 minutes. So you have 10 minutes to eat as many hot dogs as you can. Morris Chestnut was the favorite to win. Now, I will say something about this. When Kobayashi used to do this event, I was watching it faithfully. A couple years after that, Kobayashi didn't participate. I think it was something going on with him health-wise. I don't know. But Morris Chestnut became the new guy. Now, Morris Chestnut do his thing. He's been able to step up and be the guy. He set a record-breaking. He set a world record for this. For it being, he ate 74 hot dogs, and this is the 11th time that he's won this award in the past 12 years, which puts it on perspective. That's part of that's another reason why I haven't watched it a lot. I mean, there really hasn't been much competition for him to win, and this is the 3rd year in a row that he's won the contest. He beat Carmen Sincotti by 11 hot dogs. And with winning this award, or with winning this event, you get a mustard yellow belt. His initial record had been 72 hot dogs, and his overall record was 73 and a half, which he set in the qualifier 2 years ago. Next, I mean, if you look at, putting the amount of hot dogs into perspective is 74. So it was 74, 63, and then in third was 43. Chestnut does take home $10,000 for winning the award. The next four, second place is $5,000. Third place is $2,500. Fourth is $1,500, and fifth is $1,000. Of course, it's probably factoring in taxes and stuff like that. So they gave a nutritional breakdown of how many hot dogs he ate. So he had 74 hot dogs. He ate 22,200 calories in that 10-minute sitting. The total fat percentage was 1702. Saturated fat 2,220. Sodium 2,368. Dietary fiber 296%. Proteins it was 814 grams. He's raised his level of eating hot dogs, and it's been like a big thing to him now for like each year. He's been known as the top favorite. So and this is a big, I'm glad somebody mentioned this, because this is key to why I'm always talking about why the story is kind of like in between. Sean Morash of CBS Sports Radio took issue with Chestnut's monopoly of winning. However, by jokingly comparing him to the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. Major League Eating has a worse competitive balance issue than the NBA. I'm just gonna leave it at that, because I think the DeMarcus Cousins trade had happened before the hot dog contest. So who knows? But yeah, they have other people who are tweeting and talking about the event. From the women's side, Miki Sudo, who was a reigning champ, she ate 37 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. And that's the other side of it. You have to eat the hot dog and the bun. And they literally have someone who was there counting, like there's 2 people per person as far as, tour referees or officials. One person stands in front of you accounting for whether the hot dog was properly eaten correctly, and the other person is behind you tallying the amount of hot dogs you're eating. I know between Chestnut and Kobayashi, they're forming, and a lot of other big eaters who do this usually go with the dipping in the water and then eat it. I guess it helps to soak in the bread. I have no idea, because this is nothing I personally do. Because any event that I go to, I usually eat 2 hot dogs, and that's all I need for the rest of the day, because I'm usually drinking and other things. But that's that, and that's where we're gonna leave that story. But congratulations to Morris Chestnut. I don't know why I want to call him. That is not his name. Joey. I was like, his name is not Morris Chestnut. Joey Chestnut for winning the hot dog eating contest. As my laptop locked up randomly. We have so a couple weeks ago, LeBron was given the, I guess you can call it the legend cover for NBA 2K19, which if you are not good with numbers, NBA 2K has not hit its 20th anniversary yet. We're still at 19 years of 2K. The 20th anniversary should be next year, but I think they're doing this year because it was a big thing with LeBron, and LeBron has been kind of one of their key faces, especially when they went through the console transition from PlayStation and Xbox, from PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. But LeBron is on the cover of the greatest of the elite NBA 2K19. They announced that Giannis was the cover athlete for the 2K19 Standard Edition. As many people know him as the Greek Freak. The title as the game hold up, and him being the cover athlete makes sense if you look at what the theme was for 2K19. They will know your name, because a couple of years ago, no one could pronounce Giannis Antetokounmpo whatsoever. Now it's become a household name. He's actually the first international player to be on the game's cover. That says a lot. The game does release on September the 11th. And if you purchase the 20th anniversary edition, which by the way is not the 20th anniversary edition, as I mentioned, you can pick that up on September the 7th. 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to wait until it's out, till it's been out a couple days after the 11th and get my copy. Giannis has been, and no one talks about this, but it's important. There was a point where he was in the MVP conversation because he was having such a good, like his startup this past season was pretty good. I don't know what happened. And then, I mean, you also got to look at it with the Bucks. So it went the way it did, but he kind of just played. I mean, he played basketball. That was his main focus. But he's appreciative and values the mark, and we'll look forward to seeing if any people will be really using Giannis in this upcoming 2K19 when they start doing my team. And speaking of which, and I haven't talked about it in a while, 2K League is still going on. Blazer 5 Gaming, shout out to y'all, because I posted a tweet on, I believe, my personal page, and it somehow made it to my it was able to be retweeted and liked and even got a comment, so I was excited about that. Little things, you know. But yeah, that was a big deal. So I've been keeping up with 2K League as best as possible with so many games that have come on, and I like the direction they're going, and they also have an app, so props to them for that. TwitchCon is a couple of months away. It is in October. Call me the bad guy. We're TwitchCon is learning from TanaCon. Well, no, I'm just kidding. This I believe will be TwitchCon's third or fourth year. And of course the plane is just having a moment up there. But tickets will go on sale starting at $89. Friday. So how it works is you can either get a Saturday and Sunday single day ticket for $89. It'll be $99 on the website if they're available. Friday tickets are $99 and 3-day passes are $179. Friday is going to be more because there's going to be the keynote as well as a party that's going to be occurring. They're going to be doing this year they're going to be doing a speed running event, which will be similar to Games Done Quick. What's going to happen is that runners are going to race through games of their choice over a 50-hour period. And there's also going to be an ambassador program in which 15 partners will hold meet and greets, panels, and more to talk about their experiences on Twitch. There's going to be a cosplay contest, which, wow, it's going to be a $70,000 prize pool. It's going to be an area for Twitch artists to display and sell their work. They're also going to put on an open call for any panels and sessions. So you have until July 16th, so next week, if you're wanting to participate in those. Developers might want to get to TwitchCon a little early because there will be a developer day on October the 25th. And the event, if I am not mistaken, I said it was in October. Do they have the exact date? Because I believe it is there. Let me make sure I give the specific date. Because it's supposed to be like the last weekend in October. We are looking at October the 26th through the 28th would be the weekend of TwitchCon. So if you are looking to go to TwitchCon, you want to sign up, get your tickets, the sooner the better, because this event is going to be a heavy hitter from my understanding. We're hitting a very sensitive time of technology. And a lot of people don't want to accept this, but I haven't, but I have. And here's where I'm going with that. I have accepted it because I mostly own a lot of wireless products. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I got about 5 or 6 wireless speakers, not counting my Alexa. And then I have wireless headphones. I think I'm at 2, maybe 3. But then when it comes to wired headphones themselves, I have a pair that can function as both, and I have 2 that are dedicated hardwired headsets. Like the pair that I use to listen and work with the podcast, obviously, are wired for the sake of the microphone I'm using, as well as when I'm listening to playbacks and things of that nature. So there's an article that's written. I'm gonna read, but I'm not gonna go A to Z with the story because there's so much, and I shared this with someone, and you have to learn this with reading articles. There's a term, and there's a known hidden gem of TLDR, which basically means too long, didn't read. A lot of times we like to read things. Now when it comes to a book, obviously you want to read it start to finish, A to Z, whatever. But with a article, some articles you come out better to just read what you need to get from it, get the main gist, and just walk away. So we'll do that with this story where they're saying wired headphones are having their quartz moment. The mechanical watches of personal audio. Film cameras, vinyl records, paper books, mechanical watches, and now wired headphones. These are some classes of personal technology that refuse to die, no matter how much more convenient, compatible, or simply cheaper their successors become. Wired headphones are under no immediate threat of extinction, but the future of personal audio will be defined and dominated by their wireless peers. That's already clear. The question then arises, in my head at least, as to the role and prominence of wired cans in our ever more technological future, and the closest analog I can find is that of analog watches. Back in the 1970s, the quartz revolution transformed the entire watch industry. Quartz clocks were vastly more accurate and mechanically resilient than even the most expensive and sophisticated of traditional watch movements. They were cheaper and simpler to make. According to the Japan Clock and Watch Association, 1.42 billion of the 1.46 billion watches manufactured in 2015 were quartz. So there's a little dispute about the effect or scale of change that's taken place in the 4 decades since Seiko's first pioneering quartz watches. And yet mechanical watches are still very much around, garnering the majority of horology enthusiasts' passion and attention. People, it turns out, just really like the skill and craftsmanship required to do mechanical engineering well. Headphones are currently in the midst of their quartz movement. The past couple of years have seen wireless headphones advance in leaps and bounds, both in technical terms and in consumer awareness. Models like the Apple AirPods and Sony's noise-canceling 100X have raised the bar of expectations and lowered the tolerance for wired inconvenience. Smartphones have stopped catering to the previously ubiquitous need for a headphone jack, adding extra pressure for everyone and everything to go wireless. There's still a sound quality delta between wired and wireless headphones, but for the broad majority of the market, it's now too small to matter. All the data shows that the biggest growth in headphone sales is driven by the addition of wireless and other smart technologies. And it just goes on to give more information about that. So here's what I'm going to say to kind of simplify this a little bit. Wireless is here to stay. Everyone went bananas and lost their mind 2 years ago when Apple unveiled a phone without a headphone jack, and it was like the worst idea in the world. But now, because the consumer market has learned, hey, if devices are being made without a wire headphone option, then we need to get on board with the wireless scene. Thus bringing, when they brought them out last year, because I think the AirPods, I want to say the AirPods came out in 2017. They might have came out in 2016, and I just didn't really jump on the wave at the time. It was pandemonium at its finest because it was a huge transition for people who were so used to wired headphones that now we're going wireless. And it's like, why are we wanting to go this small? But then you also look at it. If you already had a default, if you owned an iPhone, whether you had the original headphone jack iPhone with the volume rocker and all that, or if you had the iPhone 6 or 7, 7 or 8 that came with the Thunderbolt or Lightning Bolt or whatever plug, and you were plugging it in and using that, you were still wired regardless. And now you're going to a Bluetooth option. It's not really a big difference. I mentioned this earlier on, and I'm just sticking to it now. Wireless is here to stay, but there are going to be those wired moments where it never hurts to run and get a pair of headphones and do what you need to do. For instance, from a gaming or a streaming perspective, wired is not going anywhere. People who stream rely on wires. They can't wirelessly run a stream. You can try, but you're going to have wires as far as whether you're plugging into a wall, whether you're connected to the internet, whatever the case may be. There are streamers who do use wireless headphones, and those work, but it's also what you're using them for. Like if you're using it for gameplay and sound to benefit your stream and to listen to your show, that's one thing. But I know personally, can't speak for anyone else, personally, podcasting, and I have yet to try it. It would be very different to have the headset turned on or have the microphone turned on, but I'm doing all the recording through my podcast. I mean, having the headset turned on, like I'd have to have a Bluetooth headset turned on, and then I'd have to actually have the headphones wireless to be able to pick up sound. I hope that made sense, because it didn't make sense in my head. But anywho, we're just in that stage, that point of where technology is and where it's planning to go. So we'll just see how it all comes together and pans out in the end, and just go from there. MoviePass has decided that there was an outage back on last Friday for people who were using MoviePass, and they had issues with trying to get request movies to view them. So in doing so, they MoviePass has decided to do the right thing. They're going to go ahead and refund anybody who was affected by that outage. So it was that anybody who was trying to do a Friday movie night using MoviePass got stuck. So MoviePass is getting that resolved and getting that all taken care of for them. Spotify has caught up with its technology as far as people who were utilizing, and I talked about this a while back. There were people who were getting Spotify for free, and it affected their numbers. And because they're now live and they're part of, they have an IPO and they're part of stock, they don't want to affect their bottom line. And so the way to resolve that is, if you're getting Spotify, you have to get the paid service by paying for it. And if it's noticed or it's been caught that you cracked into using Spotify, they're buckling down on that. So the 2 million, they were able to find that 2 million people who had taken advantage of the hack. It's not a significant number. They did adjust their monthly active users count from 159 million to 157 million. They did that also to benefit like I said, with stocks being important, they don't want to lose or have their shares be impacted because of the wrong information being given for the sake of numbers and marketing. Now these numbers tell us why the company is spot. Let's see. In an email at the beginning of March, Spotify notified users of hacked apps that they were at risk of having their account suspended or terminated if they didn't cease using them immediately. Now these numbers tell us why the company is concerned. So we now have more information in regards to that. Today is, well, these next couple of months will be sad, and it's coming soon. But you can say goodbye to CD music at Best Buy. If you walk into a Best Buy location, there's a good chance you will no longer see rows of music CDs. When communicating its decision to music suppliers, the company said it was yanking them on July the 1st, which was the Sunday before yesterday, or before the 8th. This led to reports that Best Buy was done with music CDs altogether, though that's not actually the case. While Best Buy is saying goodbye to having rows of music CDs, essentially giving physical media the Patti Smith treatment, it will offer a small selection. Okay, that video looks very concerning. The way people buy and listen to music has dramatically changed, and as a result, we are reducing the amount of space devoted to CDs in our stores. However, we still offer select CDs, vinyl, and digital music options at all stores. That was given to a CBS affiliate in South Carolina. So they're gonna cut down on the CD selections and options, which, I mean, that's understandable. I mean, we're at that stage and at that point where there aren't many people who really physically have CDs. Most cars now, we're at a Bluetooth stage, or it's more so a streaming status where, they're getting their groove through services such as Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Tidal, Amazon Music, the list goes on and on. SoundCloud, like you have multiple options to get music. So Target looks like they're going to be doing that change as well. It's how you interpret it. Because I mean, some people do want to have their physical CD to hold and listen to and play, and other people are like, hey, it's not a big deal. I mean, we're already in a digital era or in a digital style with music or listening anyway. So there's nothing to like kind of be bombarded or surprised by. It's just kind of letting it be what it is. So normally I always like to give you all the music sesh and talk about what's been played or what I've heard. Future brought out a new mixtape that I really didn't get a full listen to, a new album. Meek Mill brought out an EP. Yay. There really wasn't a lot of music to listen to, and I will come clean in saying the last couple of weeks the music sesh hasn't been the best. And it's not because I don't listen to alternative or I don't listen to pop or anything of that sort. There just aren't that many artists bringing out music. And this is kind of like that odd dry spell of music that we go through every year. So I guess in a few, we'll have more news or more information to report on, like as more albums come out. I do want to share, and you know me, I'm always honest. So everyone's got their feelings and thoughts about the Boo'd Up song. I really didn't listen to it much before, so it's kind of like I was late to the party, but I'm okay with it. This is one of those I didn't mind being late to the party. So Boo'd Up came out a while back. Radio got a hold of it. We know the rest. A remix came out with Nicki Minaj and someone from Migos. I can't remember. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It is what it is. Fabulous was on a remix of it. The Fabulous version wasn't too bad. I can roll with it. But I did hear T-Pain, I guess, do a T-boot, teed up or something like that. He did a teed up mix. So I can actually rock with his, but I mean, music is music. So I say this each week and I say this all the time, just as a general music know-how. Music is subject to opinion. Music is not because you listen to something that others have to listen to it, or that because others don't listen to. If you don't listen to a song that others don't have to listen to it with you. It's all a choice and it's all a preference. And I always just come back to that when it comes to music, because I feel like it's a battling gray area with music sometimes. So we're going to go to, we have 2 passes of the week and 1 ass of the week. Initially, I didn't have an ass of the week, and then I forgot. Someone shared an article in my group, and I was like, no, I got to talk about it because it was definitely an ass of the week. But first, Steve Ditko, who was the creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, he died at the age of 90. He was found dead in his New York City apartment back on June 29th. They stated the president of Marvel Entertainment, Dan Buckley, stated that Ditko transformed the industry and the Marvel Universe, and his legacy will never be forgotten. The company's CCO Joe Quesada stated that he blessed us with gorgeous art, fantastical stories, heroic characters, and a mystical persona worthy of some of his greatest creations. There were other writers and artists such as Neil Gaiman, Mike Mignola, and Alex Ross, who also paid tributes online. And they just give a lot of information about him and about his work. With his death, Ditko leaves behind an incredible and complicated legacy, far from the showman that is Stan Lee. He quietly devoted himself to his art and his stories, creating some of the industry's best known characters. So definitely a big face that's lost in the childhood and the lives of music. So, I mean, not in music, in comic books and magazines and artistry and work. So those who do know or have followed anything related to Doctor Strange or Spider-Man definitely are going to have an impact related to this story. The next story was really, I had to reread it and really interpret what happened to make sure I describe the story and address it correctly. Tyler Honeycutt, who was a very young individual, was 27 years old, was found dead at his home following a gunfire with the police. So what happened was the police came to the home. He was shooting with the police. Let's see. I'll read the article and then that kind of will break things down. A family member of Saturday confirmed that he had died. The LAPD says it responded Friday afternoon to the report of a man with a gun, and during the initial encounter, the suspect fired a shot out of a residence and officers returned fire. Crisis negotiators were called and SWAT team found an unresponsive man who was pronounced dead by paramedics. So what happened was they left and he just was mainly in the house by himself. Everything, nothing was going on. And I guess a shot rang out. He killed himself. When they came back following this shootout, they found him dead. The department, which did not identify the man, said he appeared to have died of a self-inflicted gunshot. No officers were injured in the altercation. Several residents in the area had been evacuated as a precaution. He played for the Bruins from 2009 to 2011. He was a second-round pick by the Kings in 2011. He played 24 games over 2 seasons, and then he went overseas to play basketball. Condolences to his family. I know that's a tough loss. Not something that anyone would expect to have happen, but the toughest part about it. And this story kind of ties into an importance that we sometimes take for granted, and I'm one to admit it. The importance of mental health and where your headspace is and what may or may not be going on in your life or in your routine. So as I always say, if you need help or if you need assistance, I usually always read the number at the beginning of the shows. But in reality, like if you really do need help and you really are trying to get assistance, let someone know, because no one's going to know your story better than you. Along with the fact that you may need someone to just kind of have as an outlet. This was the best ass of the week that I found in a while. And the only reason why I say that is because when the story initially broke, I didn't pay much attention to it at first. But now that it's been out, because when I saw it, it was on The Root. And sometimes when you go to different sites, you're like, okay, this is just a story that they're being funny and it's a satire story and they made it up. But this was an actual story. There was a cop from Florida who claimed that a Burger King put dirt on his food. They did investigation with the Burger King and they found out that it was actually seasoning. So a police officer's complaint that food he ordered came topped with dirt sparked an international probe at Burger King, which conducted the gritty substance was likely just a seasoning mix. The officer's name was Tim McCormick. He wrote this on his Facebook page earlier this week. So when he addressed it, he said he was an officer who was served at a Burger King at 4004 Cleveland Avenue in Fort Myers that had dirt in it. At first, he thought it was just a burned bacon. He was hungry and ate the burger. At the last bite, he saw dirt and grit on the burger. In disgust, he threw it out of the window. The social media post quickly went viral, prompting calls for a boycott as well as an internal investigation at the Florida Burger King. A review of surveillance video in the kitchen from the day the officer received his food cleared the staff of wrongdoing. The franchise that operates the fast food joint, which was Quality Dining Inc. We invited senior level Fort Myers Police Department officials, he told the USA Today. They all agreed that nothing inappropriate occurred when employees prepared the burger, and Burger King officials have invited McCormick to review the footage. I'm not going to read the rest of this story because he's a cornball for even not knowing the difference between seasoning and dirt, but that's concerning because then that makes me wonder, had you actually at any point eaten dirt in your life to know that it was actually dirt? But we ain't gonna talk about that either. If you really were that uncertain, instead of making a viral story and making an article, why not just go to the source and talk to them and say, hey, I got a burger from y'all a while back. Is it possible? I mean, and you're an officer. You could have just walked in and said, is it possible I can look at the cameras from this day? You know, I came here and got food. I am an officer in this area and I just want to make sure there was nothing wrong with the burger that was made. It would have made it a lot easier than going viral and then claiming something be what it wasn't. So he looked real stupid in the end, and now he literally had to eat crow, or seasoning in this case. If I was the store, I would have made another burger for him when he came back. But I'm gonna leave y'all with that story today. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the show. There was a lot of stories that have hit. There will be a lot more next week. I will be pushing more, as always, Big Three is going on. I believe we will have our finals. We may have the World Cup winner by next week. I'm not sure. Because the semifinals is tomorrow. Then they usually play game 3 and followed by they'll play like the third, they call it like the third place game. And then you'll go into the actual championship match the following day. Let me just double check, because I believe that all comes up on the same day. Yeah, they don't have the dates on here for those, but yeah, definitely gonna get locked into that. As always, if you are looking to do podcasting, Spreaker.com is where I've been doing my podcast for almost a little over 2 years. Simple, fluid flow, not really anything complex to it. And if you're looking to get a microphone or want a good quality microphone, Blue Microphone is where the direction I've gone. The Blue Yeti is the way. Passpodcast.com if you want to listen to any previous episodes. I've talked about this before, and I'm still kind of solidifying the idea. There may be some shows that you may see starting to disappear because what I've talked about then has changed up until now. So just preparing you all for that. But as always, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Any feedback that's been given, I've been utilizing it to the best of my ability. And with that being said, this is the Paz signing out. BT leaving y'all with yet another episode. Take it easy. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to get any information specifically based on the shows, you can go to Spreaker.com/BriTapePodcast or go to www.pazpodcast.com. On both of those options, you do have the information related to what topics were talked about, the timestamps for the episode, as well as the specific links related to that specific story. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, the Paz signing out.